Hello vlog, welcome back. It's been a week, but I'm really excited to be back. So this week I wanted to talk about assistive technology and kind of what types of schools have it, what types of schools don't, and kind of like the difference between low tech, high tech, mid tech, and what kind of campuses and environments actually have it on their campus. And so that is what I want to talk about this week. So yeah, stay tuned. So looking at assistive technology, there is low tech and there's high tech. And kind of one of the things that I think about when I think of low tech versus high tech is low tech is pretty easy to come by. It's not as like challenging or as difficult to figure out. It's cheaper. People are more likely to use it and to have it in environments. And then a high-tech piece of assistive technology would be something that is maybe not as easy to come by. You might have to like order it. It might like take a lot to kind of build it. It might be an electronic thing. It's probably more expensive, and it probably takes a lot more like money and time and energy to keep it at the same level that it should be at. So one reason that I think is important to look at high-tech versus low-tech technology, assistive technology, is because depending on the type of school, whether it's, a typical school, or if it's a school only for kids with disabilities, or if it is maybe a hospital type setting, or maybe a resource room, each of those different environments is going to have different things depending on the socioeconomic status of that environment, the people working there, the types of kids in the thing, in the environment, and so much more. And so it's important to realize that all of these different types of assistive technology aren't going to just be in any type of environment. A school that doesn't have a lot of funding and that maybe is in a poorer community and having iPads for students is just not an option, where the assistive technology that they might have would maybe be a highlighter, or it might be something like just images that students can use to use as visuals. So I know in my experience, I have been really lucky and I've been able to work at like my camp and a school for all for kids with disability. And so there are a lot of like high-tech assistive technology things such as iPads. I've seen iPads used especially for students with autism who just need more support when it comes to communicating what they're feeling, what they want, what they need. And so I've seen them use it for requesting items, for, requesting how they're feeling, and for even just having like simple conversations saying like, how are you? What are you doing today? I want to do this today. And so it's a really cool thing to get to see that. However, that's not something that's available at every single type of environment. And so I've been kind of thinking about like, what are ways to use these low-tech assistive technology things and still make sure that your students are able to succeed to the same level. And I think sometimes in our society, we just assume that if it's not the most expensive, like newest thing, that means it's not good. However, a student using visuals to, also say how they're doing, make choices, kind of tell what they need to someone is just as efficient and just as helpful as a iPad with a communication device on it, with like Boardmaker or with just any of those communication device things. And oftentimes I think as educators and even as parents and administrators, we automatically go to like, what can we do that's the best of the best, when there are simple solutions that a lot of times are right in front of us. And that's not to say that these iPads with communication devices aren't beneficial to students, because they totally are. I've seen them be awesome and amazing. However, a lot of times we just go straight for that rather than thinking of what's something in the middle that we could do. And this kind of reminds me also of looking at the least restrictive environment. I've seen students who have used iPads that it honestly becomes something that's more distracting to their learning environment, that can honestly cause more behaviors, because when it's taken away, or if it's not being used in the way that they want it to, or if other students see it, it makes a lot of people frustrated sometimes. However, there are so many other ways that we can help students with disabilities by, using these communication devices that are maybe considered more low tech. I remember in the PowerPoint, there was a picture of the eye gaze, which I could kind of see more so for a student with a physical disability. So maybe a student in a wheelchair, or a student who is paralyzed on one side, or something along the lines of that. See them kind of using that to kind of gaze their view on what they want. However, you know, a lot of times a parent or a teacher might say, oh, well, let's just get them a clicker or an iPad where they can, you know, physically point at it and all of these things, when that's just not necessarily necessary. That was kind of wordy. And so one of the reasons I just think this is a really cool and important topic to talk about is because a lot of times working in schools, we're not gonna have all of the best equipment and all of the best just devices for our students. And it's our job to find ways to adapt to them, rather than just say, oh, well, I don't have this, so I don't know how I'm supposed to help them. It's our job to adapt and find different ways to do that. And I think that's really cool about assistive technology, is that we can really say like, oh, I think this part of the communication device is what they need. They need to be able to visually see it. And by saying that, we can say, oh, well, let's print out pictures. And maybe it's not going to be from Boardmaker, but it's going to be real life images that I just found on the internet that help show them kind of what that looks like in real life. And I just think that's a really cool way to think about assistive technology, that it's really meant to help students and to allow them to reach their highest potential. And it's not something that's supposed to be for looks. Anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on assistive technology from what I learned this week. I really loved talking about it. I thought it was so interesting, and I think a lot of times we only look at one aspect of it, especially in schools. And so I really loved being able to kind of see that, like, just because something is low tech or high tech doesn't make it better, doesn't make it worse, it just makes it different. And yeah, that's what I really liked learning about this week. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you Tuesday.